It's time for the best coverage of the top stories in sports. The Sports Wrap with Jason Page starts now.
On a Tuesday, and great to have you with us all across America and Canada and wherever else you may be watching via the Sports Wrap with Jason Page YouTube channel, Spotify. Lots of ways to consume this show. We got a busy 60 minutes planned for you. Baseball, NBA, NFL, college football. We're going to jam it all in to the next 60 minutes. And we start things out in the NFL. Sam Yarnell is here with me today, and we bounce around a bunch of different topics, a couple of different NFL segments to get to, or football segments to get to during the show. I wanted to start it out with some training camp news. And look, I don't know if it's a huge shock that Trey Hendrickson isn't showing up for Bengals camp. Ultimately, you have to think that these two sides get this worked out. They had been talking leading up to training camp, and it seemed like things were going in a direction that would lead you to believe they were going to get a contract done. Hendrickson says, I'm not reporting until we get something done. And I'm also reminded that this is the same organization, not to harken back to 20 years ago, but, or maybe 15 years ago, this same organization that told Carson Palmer, you just stay home. And Carson Palmer did stay home for a very long time, Sam Yarnell. So you never know how these things are going to work out. But we're talking about a guy that's been among the best at his position, if not the best at his position, over the last 3 seasons. He certainly deserves to get paid. He's watching as other Bengals get paid and saying, where's my bag? So I don't blame Trey Hendrickson in this spot. And the Bengals are just going to have to suck it up and figure out how to get this guy into camp.
Yeah, no, of course you can't blame Trey Hendrickson. This is, like you said, Jason, another example of an incompetent organization when it comes to extending their key players and wrapping up guaranteed money when it matters. Everyone saw the Mike Brown comments yesterday, which were just absolutely ridiculous. And I mean, we're talking about this as at an organizational level because let's not forget, there's another player on that defense who they used a second-round pick on not 3 months ago, Jason Page, and he still hasn't shown up. He still hasn't done anything in Shamar Stewart because according to Mike Brown, he just refuses to figure out anything with the guaranteed money. Well, hey, look at this, Cincinnati Bengals. It's a mirror. It's what I'm putting in front of you. That might be the problem because now you've got 2 key players on your defense who aren't showing up because you refuse to guarantee them money. Meanwhile, you're throwing around contracts willy-nilly on the other side of the football. It doesn't make sense from an organizational perspective why this franchise continues to invest in this offense and have contractual disputes on the defense seemingly year in and year out. I think this is going to end up in Trey Hendrickson playing week 1 in another team's jersey.
Really?
And
I can't see it. They need him too much. I cannot see these guys remaining at loggerheads and him winding up somewhere else. I just don't see it. I don't see it. They're not going anywhere without Trey Hendrickson on that roster.
The thing is, we said the same thing about Lou Anarumo, and 2 days after the season ended, they kicked him right to the curb. As much as I think we thought that to be true, certainly going into last season, the performance of that defense last season is nothing that Trey Hendrickson can hang his hat on. That is the one aspect of this where I actually do understand where the Bengals brass could be coming from in all of this. But the fact of the matter is, it's the NFL. You have to pay players guaranteed money when they have the star level that Trey Hendrickson comes with. It's where we are in 2025. It's where the league has collectively bargained itself to be at. And if the Bengals don't want to play ball, that's fine. Trey Hendrickson's going to find an organization that will.
Speaking of guys that need to get paid, it's Micah Parsons and Jerry Jones, who looks more and more like Chancellor Palpatine every day when I look at him. So here we are, Jerry Jones making very strange comments about Micah Parsons, who's dealing with his own contract situation there in Dallas with the Cowboys. And if there is a guy who is not going to give in, who is not going to cave, it is Jerry Jones.
I think that when you put all of this together, right, because Jerry Jones and Mike Brown yesterday talking about the same thing, guaranteed money.
Yeah.
I think that it speaks volumes that all these owners are coming out and making these wild, heinous statements the week after there's an entire deep dive done into this document that was hidden by the NFLPA's executive director that essentially proved collusion between the owners. Yeah, you think they're a little nervous? Because I sure do. Jerry Jones' incompetence is a theme, Jason, that it feels like you and I have been talking about for the entire existence of this very program. So no, I'm not surprised that it's happening yet again with yet another star. It's another thing where they get this contract deal done 2 months ago. They're not going to have to pay what the Steelers just had to pay TJ Watt or what whomever will have to pay Trey Hendrickson. But when you wait until late July and August and September to do these deals, just like with Dak Prescott, a deal that got done September 10th of that year, you end up paying way above market for a player that, yeah, is talented, but certainly doesn't deserve the money they're going to get out of you.
And Jerry, look, I mean, Parsons, and we should make clear, Parsons is in camp, but we just don't know if he's going to be participating as he tries to get a long-term extension worked out. And look, I don't blame these guys because all you need is to get a foot planted in the turf the wrong way. And all of a sudden you blow something out and it's lights out for your season and a whole lot of money going out the door. So I don't blame these guys in the case of Hendrickson and Parsons at all, for not going out on the field or reporting to camp in these cases. Jones, for his part, on whether he believed they were on the verge of a deal, said, quote, "Let's put it like this. We went over every possible detail that you can go over and had agreement." Jones says right now he's okay dealing with dangling participles, Sam Yarnell.
So just an update to that, because, I know Jerry Jones came out and said that on Monday. Tuesday morning, Adam Schefter got confirmation from Micah Parsons' camp that there has, in fact, not been a contract offer extended to Micah Parsons so far this offseason. So as much as Jerry Jones can say that they had agreements and verbal deals done, it doesn't mean anything until there's an actual contract presented to anyone, which there hasn't been at this point. I mean, ridiculous.
If TJ Watt's getting a deal that averages $41 million a year, what would you pay Micah Parsons? What would you pay him?
I would pay him $39. He will get paid $43.
He's gonna get more than. Oh my God. It's always good to be the last one in the clubhouse, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Always. We got more to do on the other side. Don't go anywhere. Coming up in 10 minutes, in honor of Chris Paul signing for a 21st season to play with the Clippers next season, I have a question that I want to ask all of you and Sam Yarnell. And we'll do that coming up in about 10 minutes. It's time for some baseball. Every time you think it can't get weirder in Major League Baseball, I say it all the time. Go to a game and never know what you're going to see. We've seen, didn't we see like a walk-off balk last year, or the first year of the pitch clock, a walk-off like pitch clock violation or something like that? This year we've seen a walk-off inside the park home run with the Giants just a couple of weeks ago that we chronicled on this show. And then last night, we get this beaut in the Phillies Red Sox game where you get a walk-off catcher's interference, Sam Yarnell. As somebody who likes to pride himself on being a former catcher, Sam Yarnell, I think this is a BS call. Every time I look at it right now, I'm like, this is a BS call, because you could just check swing and swing late and hit a guy's glove intentionally the way Sosa did there, and you wind up, with a walk-off win. I don't know what baseball does to fix this sort of thing, but kind of cheap.
So this is going to be, well, we'll get into that in a second. Yes, as a former catcher, I will say there is no feeling more disheartening as a catcher than having catcher's interference called on you, let alone in a consequential moment.
Yeah.
It only happened to me once, weirdly enough, in all of my years playing baseball, and it's probably because it scared me off of it happening when it did. It does not feel good, people. It hurts more than anything. You feel disappointed in yourself, but it hurts more than anything because you just got a bat swung that hits you in the hand. I don't care how thick the glove is. Yes, very weird ending to a game, Jason. I think that the greater issue here is with it's gonna pain me to say this. It's with the modern catching style. It's with what the modern catching style has evolved to be. How is it solved? Unfortunately, the short version of the long answer is ABS. So the reason that this kind of thing happens is because this new style that catchers want to use when they drop down to a knee is to start with your glove very low and reach forward and into the strike zone because it makes it easier to frame the pitch. You saw last season how detrimental this can be to catchers when Wilson Contreras had his arm snapped in half while trying to do that, and somebody swung and hit him in the arm. It is a very dangerous practice, especially because every millimeter closer to the plate that you are as a catcher is an extra millimeter of break that you are eliminating from the plate that could be misconceiving to an umpire. I completely understand why it's done, and it makes sense from a baseball perspective, but how do you get guys to stop doing it? The answer is the ABS system, because then catchers aren't going to have to worry as much about framing. Do I think that that's a great answer?
Sam
no.
is an advocate for ABS. Yes. Sam is an advocate for... We finally got him on board. Sam is an advocate for ABS. I love it. Nothing makes me happier. Nothing makes me happier at all.
You're not gonna get me on board with it.
It's
an
on
unfortunate
board.
part of the game.
Let's go.
And catchers are going to have to, especially if we're gonna keep catching this way. You got to be more cognizant of where a guy's standing in the box, and those guys who are standing super deep in the box, you're gonna have to back up on the umpire. And as unfortunate as it is, it's just a change that's going to have to happen in baseball. Because this is now two very consequential ones that I could remember off the top of my head from the last two baseball seasons.
The price of milk is going up, Sam Yarnell. If you want a Eugenio Suárez, you better get your checkbook out. You better get your players lined up. The Yankees have reportedly offered 5 guys in a package. They may have to offer their whole minor league system at this point, because he hit his 36th home run of the year last night as the Diamondbacks beat the Houston Astros. What a season Suárez is having. And boy, the price just keeps going up. You know, one team that could be in the mix for him, and I don't know what assets they would have to give up for him. One of the names that I've heard is Detroit.
Yeah, so the problem with both of the franchises that Jason is now convinced that this man is going to play
I'm not
for.
convinced of anything. Listen, I'm the one who on the show yesterday talked about our friend Barry Bloom out there on the West Coast, who said the Diamondbacks may not be in sell mode the way everybody thinks they are. And as you said yesterday on the show, they shouldn't be, given the fact that they were just in the World Series a couple of years ago.
Again, yes, I will digress to that point that I do think it is a little soon to blow it up. But I'll tell you this, Jason, and you and I talked about it. You alluded to it yesterday on the show, but like, this guy keeps hitting home runs. The Yankees aren't going to be able to hold Spencer Jones out of a trade negotiation. The Tigers, the reason that I'm hesitant on them is because Geno Suárez keeps hitting homers. They're going to have to offer up Max Clark, which I'm not sure they're comfortable doing. Suárez has now entered the postseason difference maker kind of conversation, which is when you really have to start looking at top prospects if we're talking about trades getting done. I don't know, man. The Yankees, a team that, famously, right, they'll trade anybody to get anybody if it means they're going to win another World Series. Does it get to that point? It's a real head scratcher for me, Jason, because if the Diamondbacks do move off of him, if they do punt on this wild card race, which, again, this is an Arizona team that is 5 games out of a wild card spot with what? 60 games to play. By no means do they need to be selling out on everything.
And it's number of, look, when it comes to the wild card, and it's like anything, it's the number of teams you have to leapfrog. It's not the number of games as much as it's the number of teams. And in their case, it's 3 or 4, as it would be. And one of those teams is the Reds, who I don't have an abundance of confidence in. If we're talking about, sort of where we are in the season. By the way, the Diamondbacks lost that game last night, just for the record.
I wonder if it's at the end of the day a bad thing.
End of the day. Where's David Hardsman?
For the Diamondbacks front office, because it's going to drive this price up beyond what people are going to want to pay.
Or it goes the other way. If you weren't thinking of trading him, do you now are you forced to because somebody is willing to pay that exorbitant price? It could go the other way too, Sam.
It's a great point.
And I mean, you turn down a king's ransom? Welcome back to this Tuesday edition of Sports Wrap. Just a quick detour to the NBA. Because we learned that Chris Paul is coming back for a 21st NBA season. It's a long time, Sam Yarnell. 21 years. And last year was like his healthiest year, which is amazing for a guy that's been injury-riddled or injury-prone his entire career. He played like every game last year for the San Antonio Spurs. It was pretty remarkable. He's going back to the Clippers, so everything comes full circle. He wanted to stay on the West Coast because of his kids and his family. So Chris Paul goes back to the West Coast, and he'll play with the Clippers, who are going to take one last big-time run with this group. And this is something that Kurt Heelan and I have talked about both on the air and off the air, that they're going to have a bunch of expiring contracts. They've got a year to 2 years with this group where they could take a hearty run at the West and Oklahoma City and Denver. And I will say this, if the Clippers are healthy for 82 and the postseason, I think they are the most dangerous team in the West. I really do. I mean, they have put together a who's who of guys that if it all comes together, I know, I get the face. It's an understandable face to make. That if it all comes together, it could be spectacular. They are the best, and I'll say this now. I have no problem saying this. They are the best team in Los Angeles basketball right now. No question about it. They are the best team. Oh, yes. They are the best team in Los Angeles when it comes to basketball. They will be better than the Lakers this year, Sam. Now.
Well, that's different. Because the Lakers aren't going to have LeBron this year, but they have LeBron right now.
I'll believe that when I see it. I think there's a lot of smoke there, but I don't necessarily think there's fire. But as I was thinking about Chris Paul, going back to Los Angeles to rekindle that spark with the Clippers, it got me wondering, who is the greatest when you think about the league right now? We do this in golf all the time. Best player to never win a major, Lee Westwood, blah, blah, blah. In the NBA, who is the best active player right now? And Chris Paul made me think of this because I think it is Chris Paul. Who is the greatest player right now, or who is the greatest active player, the best active player in the NBA right now to have never won a title? And I mean, it's hard to argue with Chris Paul when you think of his credentials, what he's done throughout his career. It'd be hard to argue against Chris Paul when you think about, I'm talking the overarching resume. I'm not just talking about, who's had a great run the first 4 or 5 years of their career. There's a lot of guys you can make an argument for. But is it Chris Paul?
I got 3 for you.
All right, give me 3.
Come to mind after doing a little bit of research. My GOAT of players in the NBA who don't have a ring is Elgin Baylor.
No, I'm talking about playing now, not retired players. I'm talking about playing now.
Well, then there are like 6 to choose from. There aren't enough to choose from. I said Devin Booker as a joke, but like realistically, I think that with everything the Suns have tried, including Chris Paul, as a matter of fact, which, you know, you go back and watch a couple of those games, may be more detrimental to Devin Booker's career than anything. I think Devin Booker's probably a good example, just because, again, everything that's... Ben Simmons is an interesting one. Not that he's great, but ton of raw talent there and seemingly always fit into a team that was built to win a championship and always let people down. But yeah, I mean, Chris Paul's the easy answer when it comes to...
I mean, you could say Russell Westbrook and James Harden. You could say Russell Westbrook and James Harden.
But... the thing is with Russell Westbrook and James
Harden... Got to start with Hall of Famers. You got to start with surefire Hall of Famers. I know everybody in the... I know everybody makes the Hall of Fame. I get it.
And Chris Paul's a different dimension than both of those guys.
Damian Lillard?
Dame's a good one. But Dame again feels like he doesn't have the... I guess he's got a couple of postseason moments. It doesn't feel like he's been in high leverage situations that Chris Paul has let us down in as frequently as Chris Paul has. That's my thing with Russell Westbrook and James Harden, right? Like Russ, Harden, and Dame to me are like the all preseason team. You know what I mean? Like they're always they're those guys on that team that in the preseason everyone picks to win everything. But, you know, since Oklahoma City for Russ and James, it really hasn't panned out.
I'll give credit to Kurt Heelan on this one. He says Paul George. And he said the generation of players coming into the league now idolize him from an all-around game perspective. Jimmy Butler. Butler's an interesting one.
Yeah, but the Paul George one is interesting. Jimmy Butler, it just doesn't feel, again, like has the... Chris Paul is in kind of his own echelon of...
I agree.
It feels like Chris Paul is much closer to LeBron James than he is to Jimmy Butler.
You know who I think of when I think of Chris Paul? I'll give you
Griffin?
one. No, when you talk about, if you talk about guys no longer playing that didn't win a title, greatest, John Stockton.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I think of a guy like John Stockton when I think of, if Chris Paul's career ends without a title, I will think of it in the same vein of a John Stockton type. That would be the one I would go with.
The interesting part about Chris Paul's career to me is that we could take multiple different historical stars and compare different eras of Chris Paul's career to those stars that didn't win rings, right? Like I would say the early New Orleans days of Chris Paul, I would compare that to like Allen Iverson, but then he goes out to Los Angeles and becomes more like a Charles Barkley type.
This is a great point. This is a great point about Chris Paul. You could slot him into any era and it works and it fits.
Yeah.
Like his game, you could slot him into any era, and Chris Paul would fit in with any era of NBA basketball. That's what I think of, and it's one of the greatest compliments I think you can give to a Chris Paul, is that his style of basketball, and some of that has evolved. Like you said, he's more athletic when he was younger, obviously. You know, New Orleans Chris Paul, but. You think about him, he could slide into just about any era of NBA basketball. He really could. All right, we got more to do. Sports Wrap continues on this Tuesday. We bring it back for segment 4 on the show. Continue the conversation back to football. College football in this case. Because you know what starts today, Sam Yarnell? Guess. 3 guesses. First 2 don't count.
Oh, is today that day that they're playing the game in Ireland? Is that why we're talking about college football?
Still got a month. Can you believe college football starts August 23rd? We're almost there. I was talking to my friend Chuck Todd, formerly of Meet the Press. the NBC host. We hopped on a call last week. We were talking about a college football idea. The man is just always thinking of ideas. And we were talking about college football. He's huge. You know what I learned about Chuck Todd that was very interesting? I don't know if I could share it. Might get myself in trouble if I share this, huh? Yeah, I'm not going to share it. I know, I'm leaving everybody hanging. I'm the worst. I know, I'm the worst. I don't normally do this, but I don't know if Chuck Todd would want this known. So I'm not going to share it. I'm going to be a good boy. I'll tell you off the air though. But we were talking about college football, Sam. And then I looked and I said, oh my God, it's college football media days. That's what's going on. It's that time of the year where coaches get up at podiums and bring a couple of players with them and get everybody hyped up for college football season, which doesn't begin for another month. So I don't know why we're getting everybody excited now, because then we just got to cool off for a month and wait for the actual games to start. By the way, did you see the game they're playing in Ireland? I think it's like Iowa and Kansas State.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm like, really? This is the game we're bringing to Ireland? The only team that should ever play in Ireland is Notre Dame. I'm sorry. Now, I'm not trying to be like Notre Dame guy, but that's the only team that should ever be playing in Ireland is Notre Dame. So here we are. It's media days. In Vegas, they've got the Big Ten Media Day, which starts today. And in Charlotte, ACC Media Day is getting started. Our buddy Bill Bender from the Sporting News, who we always have on the show during college football season, is out there checking that out. So we'll have some reports as the week goes on, as coaches go up and say things that are mildly interesting. And, of course, the one everybody's waiting for, Sam, on Thursday is Bill Belichick, who will meet with the media at Media Day in Charlotte. And it is kind of remarkable to think, for as much of a brouhaha, as much of a hullabaloo, whatever, crazy word you want to throw in there that your grandmother or grandfather used to use, about Bill Belichick and his girlfriend, fiance, whatever she is at this point, that story calmed down real fast. Somebody put the kibosh on all of the circus-like activity around that Bill Belichick story, once we got into like the meat of summer, and it got quiet real fast, which tells me it's back to football for Bill Belichick right now.
Kerfuffle was the word that came to mind for me.
I like that.
Man, this thing is a pressure cooker. Yeah. And one of these days, it's just going to go boom in the middle of like week 3. And it's going to be awesome. I can't wait.
No.
Yeah, it's been quiet. I mean, there's always a calm before the storm, right? It's like we're in the eye of the hurricane right now. Maybe it's lasting a little bit longer than some people anticipated. Do I expect it to continue? Not a shot. Do I expect something to happen probably before week 1? Almost definitely. I think that it's almost perfect that we stop talking about this so much, Jason, because the next time, again, something that I would guess is happening in short order, that something ridiculous happens out of the UNC coaching office or front office, we'll have even more energy pent up to release about it. Something may be said at Media Day, maybe not. Maybe she's not even there, but...
she'll be there. She will be there. You can count on it. If Bill is anywhere, Jordan is not far behind. I can promise you. I had lunch with a friend. There was an event out here in Vegas. Fountain Blue has a new, like a Hall of Fame type thing where sports artifacts. So Jim Gray and Tom Brady opened up this Hall of like sports exhibit. It might have some entertainment stuff too. And Jim Gray literally like went into his own vault and took things and put it in this exhibit. And other sports leagues and organizations are loaning items to it, and they'll have different things coming in and out. I can't wait to check it out. My buddy Howie Deneroff is actually running it. So I went. I had lunch with Howie's wife, and she was saying that she was at the the opening of this exhibit, this Hall of Fame that they have there at Fontainebleau, and Bill Belichick was there. And who was only a couple of feet away? Jordan. So anywhere he goes, she is not going to be far behind Sam. I can promise you.
I am very much looking forward to seeing what comes out of ACC Media Day with regard to not so much Bill, but definitely her. But Jason, maybe the big one that I'm waiting for is Big 12 Media Day when we get Deion Sanders coming out.
Will he, though?
Finally speaking to the
Will
media.
he?
Yeah,
because he still says he's still battling whatever health issue it is that he's not really talking about. You got to wonder. Will Deion even be on the sidelines when we get to week 1 of the season a month from now? By the way, speaking of the ACC, when you look at the odds for the national championship, you got to go way down the list if you want to find an ACC team. Texas, Georgia, Ohio State, Penn State, Alabama, Oregon, Clemson. Oh, there's Clemson. Okay. 12-1. Clemson at 12-1, Notre Dame at 14-1. All right. We're coming back. Odds and Ends wraps it up in 10 minutes. Not the end for one veteran Major League pitcher. And I mean veteran. How much of a veteran? Well, Sam's got a fun little stat to throw in on it that we'll get to coming up. And I hope you didn't buy tickets for tennis's Canadian Open. Hope you didn't invest big money into buying tickets for that event, because they're probably going for pennies on the dollar now. It's funny, but it's really not funny for folks up there who are looking forward to seeing some good tennis, because all the best players in the world have dropped out. Sam Yarnell. I've always been a curious person. I consider myself a curious person. Cynic, maybe, skeptical a little bit. I'm one of those people that believes in extraterrestrial life, aliens, things of that ilk. Always been one of those guys. Stonehenge. Like, where did Stonehenge come from? I'm like one of those people that always wonders about things like that. I'm curious. The pyramids. Where did the pyramids come from? How do guys get away for 4 hours on a Sunday morning and play golf with their wives just sitting at home? I'm curious when it comes to certain things in life. The wonders of the world. I got another one that for the life of me I cannot figure out. Why do teams keep betting on Ben Simmons? Why? I don't. It's like the woman who's with the guy who keeps cheating on her, and she's like, "Oh, I could change him. I could fix him. I'm the right one. I could figure it out." Or it's like teams who go and regurgitate these pitchers that struggle with team after team, and they're like, "No, we can figure it out. We saw something in his mechanics. We could figure it out." At this point, what do teams see in Ben Simmons that they would take hard-earned money, actual cash, and say, we're going to pay a salary to Ben Simmons to be on our roster? The guy's been long gone for years as far as being of any sort of value in the NBA. And that's why it made me laugh when you brought him up during the segment where we were talking about Chris Paul, because all I can think to myself is, this guy, go play in China and go be like, who was that guy that played at BYU? Couldn't make it in the NBA. Yeah, Jimmer Fredette. Go be Jeremy Lin, who had like one great year in the NBA, who I loved, by the way, with the Knicks. And then he signed this huge deal with the Rockets and it all went kaboom. Go be Jeremy Lin and go play in Taiwan or China or something. Like, I don't understand the concept of NBA teams thinking they could fix Ben Simmons, Sam. I just don't get it.
Yeah, I think that it's kind of evolved throughout Ben Simmons' career. as much as for many years it was, what are the Sixers going to do to fix this guy?
Yeah.
Like, how are they going to figure it out? In the at the end of the Brooklyn era for Ben and in the Clippers era, he's embraced what he is most effectively as a basketball player, which is frankly what's kept him in the not in the WNBA, in the NBA. And that is, he can do everything very, 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 very well, except for score the basketball. And that's fine when he goes to a system where he's needed to be a facilitator, which is what he did for the end of his time in Brooklyn when, that scoring really revolved around Cam Thomas and Ben Simmons was there to create distractions, set screens, get Cam Thomas the ball, and rebound the shots that he missed. That's what Ben Simmons is great at. That's what he was so great at LSU. That's what got him drafted as high as he did. That's what got him all the hype built around him. And then an incredibly ineffective process in Philadelphia and an organization that's been stumbling over itself for the better part of the last 2 decades, had a player whose talent they did not know how to manage. Then it had to all be blown up. So I see what people still want in Ben Simmons. He's an effective basketball player. Just because he's not an effective scorer doesn't mean that he's not.
I want to read you. I just typed Ben Simmons in a Google search and tapped the news tab. Ready? Celtics interested in free agent Ben Simmons. Why are the Celtics interested in Ben Simmons? What to make of latest report? Would Ben Simmons actually make sense for the Celtics? Ben Simmons on the verge of pulling out a brutal reverse card on the 76ers. The Kings have shown interest in Ben Simmons. Insider urges Knicks to make Ben Simmons' decision for one reason, despite flaws. It's like when we went through this period in the media when everybody was Jason Whitlock, it felt like was getting hired by every different outlet. And then finally it was like everybody just gave up on Jason Whitlock and he landed at some conservative rag where he just, spouts off whatever it is he spouts off. It's that sort of thing. I don't get it. And look, it's nothing personal against Ben Simmons. I agree with you. There was talent there at one point, but I just wonder at some point mentally for it to have gone as bad as it did for as long as it has. I mean, it is the reclamation project of reclamation projects. And I agree with you. Not every NBA player has to be a scorer. I mean, Draymond Green has made a living throughout his entire NBA career. Draymond Green's going to be a Hall of Famer, much to my chagrin. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. And the guy's never scored. The guy's never been a scorer. So, I mean, it's not unheard of, but it is one of the great mysteries right now. All these teams lining up to get the services of a guy that hasn't been serviceable for the last 4 years. We're coming back. Odds and ends next. Just about time to put the wraps on this baby for a Tuesday. Tomorrow's Wednesday. We're talking about something. That's the tease of teases. A couple of reminders before we say goodbye, get to odds and ends here. If you have not done so yet, make sure to subscribe to the Sports Wrap with Jason Page podcast, available on all your favorite podcasting platforms. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Odyssey, Amazon. Anywhere you get a podcast, you can get this show in its audio form, commercial-free, 45 minutes, Monday through Friday. If you have not done so yet, make sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform. You can watch this show on over 270 affiliates around the United States and Canada. We are very proud of what we built out over the first year and a half of this show, and more affiliates are coming very soon. But did you know you could watch us as well on Spotify? Yeah, every day. The show available there. Also available on our YouTube channel, the Sports Wrap with Jason Page YouTube channel. Go and subscribe to that. It is free. It is the show, commercial free there. Monday through Friday. Go and check it out. It's there early in the afternoon. It's actually there in most cases before it's available on television. So if you want to see the show first, see it fast, our YouTube channel has it as well. And without any further delay, ladies and gentlemen, time for some odds and ends. Odds and ends, Sam Yarnell. Apparently not the end for Rich Hill. I didn't even know he was pitching in the minors. And I didn't even know he was in the Royals organization. I'm not going to lie to you. Haven't been really paying attention to that Royals AAA roster in Omaha, Sam. But there he is, Rich Hill, 45 years old, getting the call back up to the big show to make a start for the Royals at the age of 45. He will be the oldest starting player in the bigs since Bartolo Colon last pitched in the bigs. Bartolo, by the way, still waiting for a call for anybody who's looking for a starting pitcher right now. Bartolo would still be able to get out there and throw like 7 innings. There's no question in my mind.
He's playing. He just won it was either the Mexican or the Dominican Summer or Winter League last year. He was on the team. The guy is going to pitch until he's 60.
That's great. It's like Satchel Paige. So hats off to Rich Hill. It also says a lot about the Royals pitching situation right now. If you got to call up Rich Hill from the minors at 45 to come and give you a start, he will also be playing for his 14th team, which also ties a record. I forget who else had it. Somebody else had 14. Do you know who it is?
Edwin Jackson.
It was Edwin Jackson. That's who it was. I thought it would have been Octavio Dotel. The late Octavio Dotel. Yeah, I thought Dotel had the record, but apparently Edwin Jackson has it, and Rich Hill will have it as well, Sam.
Edwin Jackson, former Washington National.
You have a good Rich Hill. You have a good Rich Hill fact that you were going to throw.
I got a couple good Rich Hill facts. You ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
Rich Hill was drafted out of high school before his now teammate Bobby Witt Jr. was born. Rich Hill debuted in the year 2005. Debuted in Major League Baseball in the year 2005. His teammate Bobby Witt Jr., 5 years old. His teammate Jack Caglione, 2 years old. The day that Rich Hill made his Major League Baseball debut. Again, the 3 of those gentlemen, all teammates today on the Kansas City Royals. Absolutely impressive stuff. When you talk about, Jason, when we talk about dominance, I think that a lot of people think in baseball it's, you had a 2.5 ERA 1 year. How about Rich Hill coming back and doing it for his 24th season of pro baseball? That's what you call dominance in a sport.
How about just having the stick-to-itiveness, the want, and just gutting it out in the minors at that age? He was 4-4 with a 5.36 ERA and 9 starts at Omaha this year. 90-74 for his major league career, 386 games for Rich Hill. Very cool story. Wish him the best of luck against the Cubbies. He will make that start on Tuesday night. Last but not least, man, if you bought tickets for the Canadian Open, I am sorry, because virtually everybody has dropped out on the men's side. I don't even know if there is a women's side. Might just be an ATP event. Novak Djokovic, Jack Draper, Carlos Alcaraz, Jannik Sinner, all saying, we're good. And for various reasons, not playing in the Canadian Open. If you bought tickets for that event, Sam Yarnell, I am sorry. I don't think you did, but if somebody did, I feel sorry for them.
Yeah, that's definitely tough. However, I will say that the tickets to those events are generally not, insanely expensive. So hopefully if you did buy a ticket with the hopes of getting one of the sessions that Jack Draper, Carlos Alcaraz, or Jannik Sinner were playing in, you're not out too many Canadian dollars.
Ah, very nice. By the way, I'll also say this. This is the problem with tennis right now, and you've heard a lot of players chirping about this. The fact that there are too many events and too much of a commitment, that the grueling nature of the sport physically, that some of these stars don't need the bonus money that comes with playing in these events. They're just not going to play them, Sam.
Yeah, and I hear that, but what an asinine argument. Having all these events is like what is good for tennis. It's how you keep the overturn of who is challenging whom at all of these tournaments. That is a wild statement.
When you get to the majors, these guys aren't healthy because they're playing too many of these other events. I get the argument. I've had this conversation with Patrick McEnroe too. We got to go. Thanks, Sam. We'll see you all back here tomorrow. I'm Jason Page.